We are a team of teams this year. I am so excited because not only do we have a dozen new advanced leaders now that we're calling you, we also have about 200 more intermediate and beginners in our Circle of the Blue Flame this year. And our Drum for Change global network has exploded. We have 20,000 people at the minimum that are drumming with us on this day as well. So we have, if
Wow.
you haven't been noticing, the Whirling Rainbow has done a vertical ascent. And we're here with our board members, myself and Michaela and Sage to my left in the musical squares. And we have just a fantastic hour for you to get you psyched up and also to give you a ton of information that might help you in whatever level you're doing the ceremony on Wednesday. So as we bring everybody in, I just wanted to put it in gallery view so we can just see everyone. But I'd like to put it into speaker view just for this recording purpose. And each of us will have a chance to share, ask questions. This is a great time to ask anything that you're questioning, since we have been rebirthing this ceremony year by year as we have gone along for the last 9 years. And so there's much to cover, but let's open this circle. Sage is in Hawaii at the moment, and her internet isn't the best of sources, so we want to make sure she gets to share with you really early on some things. But let's open this with prayer, as always, and bring ourselves in. But I wanted to have Michaela mention to you the countries and the states that just came in this week, just so you know how fast this is happening.
So who just came in these last couple of weeks is Italy, Canada, more people in Canada, more people in Austria, more people in Germany, Poland, Iceland, Belgium, more people in the UK, Finland, more in Australia, India, Romania, the Netherlands, France, and Chile.
And
Wow.
Many more states: Arizona, Michigan, Texas, Georgia, New York, Tennessee, Montana, California, Hawaii, Pennsylvania, Alaska, Washington, North Carolina, and Florida. Woohoo!
that's just in the last 5 days. So that kind of shows you what's happening and how
Wow.
much. And I believe that it's because we have been ahead of the curve. All of us have been the visionaries to see it before it was going to happen. And now, as we enter this Mayan count year of yellow galactic seed, we are in that new earth. Nobody can question whether this is the end times of an epoch of patriarchy. Nobody can question that now. In 2012, we were like, well, maybe. But we found out that the Mayan count and the Gregorian were off by 8 years. So that's why 2020 was the actual 2012. So here we are in that number one of the new, and we are planting that galactic seed. And there's a very specific pulse we're going in on this year. I love Pam Gregory, who is an astrologer, and we watch her all the time. She's in the UK. For those of you in the UK, she's a wonderful astrologer. But she said this sentence that we go in with this prayer today: this September equinox will be like striking a tuning fork for the next 3 months. It's a portal, another surge of energy from the photon belt. So she describes it like striking a tuning fork. And I strike that tuning fork in honor of one of our grid point leaders, community drum keepers, staff, advisory board member, our beautiful Tarkalea, who took her wings on July the 5th in my hands. This was this tuning fork that I struck on her third eye and crown on her final breath. and we bring her craziness, her wildness, her unkempt nature, her enormous creativity, her endless joy and service into this call today. And, you know, we may have her texting my phone while we're here because she's done that before. Really amazing. When we took her ashes out in the RV in Fairbanks, she texted my phone, "I'm listening to Izzy Somewhere Over the Rainbow right now." And it was from her phone. It's crazy. So let us bring that medicine together with this beautiful blue flame prayer that enters the ceremony and is the pulse of this ceremony. That we know that when we're activating the planetary grid, we're really purifying ourselves. That's what who the ceremony's for. It's not for Mother Earth, it's for us. Because it's only the humans that have lost their way in being stewards of this garden. So just bring yourself into that prayerful space as we enter the blue flame prayer. We now activate and enliven with the blue flame of truth, transparency, divine will and renewal. All song lines, all grid points of this holy ground. Illuminate within me. Purify in innocence. Purify in power. Purify in strength. Purify in wisdom. Purify in truth. Purify in grace. All aspects of my being. I am that I am. The divine heavenly blue fire. I am the blue fire. I am the blue fire. I am the blue fire. That sets a much different tone. Thank you. So I'd like to take this moment for those that are new Blue Flame leaders, or they're doing it at the beginner or intermediate levels this year, which is our new expansion. People have been asking for that for quite a long time, and we finally put the time into making it adjustable. So those people that just had an hour in their own living room could still participate. So now we have 200 or 300 more people coming in just in the last 2 weeks that we were able to do this. So we're excited for them to also be here and ask any questions. But I'd like to invite Sage to tell us a little bit about the history of how this ceremony got started, and also a little bit about the blue flame, and because she does such powerful work with the flames in her work with clients and communities across the world. So Sage Emery, our long-term, lifelong board member, best friend of every kind, and holding our space in Hawaii until we get there.
Thanks. That opening was so beautiful. I can't stop rocking back and forth because I got right into the energy of it. So we've been doing it 9 years. I was wondering how long it was. You said 9 years. So the channeling came through to me. There was one other person the channeling came through to also, but I received one of the original channelings about 10 years ago. And at the time, I really didn't know what they were talking about, how to do the ceremony, how to put it together. It sort of overwhelmed me. It was a little like, I don't know what you're talking about. But we did our first blue flame ceremony in Peru with White Eagle and her class down there. And it was such a beautiful Mayan, it's like a Mayan ceremony. Most of you on this call have already done this ceremony, but a lot who are going to listen later have not. The blue flame is an extraordinary, powerful, sacred flame of God. All of the flames of God, the sacred fires, are all God consciousness. It's an aspect in consciousness of source energy. And this particular blue flame is actually it's a foundational flame, because what it does is it connects you up with your divine will, and your divine will is your I am presence. So we are on this planet normally as ego-centered beings until you discover that there's more than your ego. And as long as your ego is in charge, you would just keep wreaking havoc and literally creating karma for yourself, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And it isn't until you align yourself with divine will and the truth of your own spirit that you are your I am presence incarnated in a body. You are source energy. And when you align yourself with your I am presence and your divine will, then you can start changing your life and ending this cycle of karma, literally. So when you align yourself with the divine will, you start getting instructions for your life from your higher source energy. And your higher source energy is anchored in the blue flame is actually anchored in your heart, within the threefold flame of the heart. So in the threefold flame of your heart, you have the pink flame of the Divine Mother's unconditional love. You have the blue flame of the power and intelligence of God, the infinite intelligence of God. And you have your gold flame of your I am presence. And when the gold flame and the blue flame and the pink flame merge together, you have the violet flame infused with your I am presence. So the violet flame is the power and the will of God. It's the power of love to transmute all of your karma. So you cannot ascend on this planet until you start transmuting your karma. And it is the power of the blue flame, the power of love, that helps you start to begin to transmute that karma. And so what we're really doing is bringing the entire planet. It is ourselves, and we're intending that the entire planet come under divine will, that everybody on this planet, every single human being on this planet has a blue flame within their heart. And when every single person on this planet comes into alignment with that blue flame within their heart, their own divine will, their own connection to their source energy, this planet will stop hurting each other. And we will start to ascend into the realms of love, and merging with that divine love of the unconditional love of the Divine Mother. Then we're able to transmute and forgive everything that ever happened, everything we ever did, everything, and transmute our consciousness up into the higher realms of light. So this ceremony is pivotal because there are many flames. There are 12 sacred flames that we work with that I won't go into, but until you align with your divine will, then you're just going to flounder and not really know what you're supposed to be doing in life. So the power of this flame is unspeakable power, really, to bring you into your own alignment. So I'm so happy that people are joining. When you read that list, my heart was exploding, thinking, wow, what happened? How did that happen? There was just like a few of us doing it. And all of a sudden it's happening everywhere. But there's so many light workers waking up and aligning with source and their truth, that we all are source walking on this planet, that I thought, oh, wow, it's happening. That is awesome. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And I just love you all. I love this ceremony. The ceremony is one of my favorite days of the entire year. It's really awesome. It's really fun.
Thank you. That she gives the very best description ever of the blue flame and the sacred flame. So I want to also say that we also have been doing this with Grandmother Drum before all of this took place. That's what we were traveling doing, is the activating the grid. And the grandmother said there's, a better carbon footprint way to do that, and the blue flame was emerged so that all of you could participate in what we've been doing for 20 years when we toured the world. So you're now stepping into that river as being part of the team. And all of our community drum keepers, if you're not a community drum keeper, you can get trained to be one, also hold these ceremonies. So a lot of our blue flame leaders are also community drum keepers. And the drum helps so much in the frequency. And it was funny that, I read Pam Gregory with, it's like striking a tuning fork. And I want to also share with you sort of the Mayan count for today. Let's see if I can get this to work properly. Here we are. Here's the Mayan count for today. Not for today, for the ceremony itself. And you see that we have the Earth Core family. We have the Clan of Fire, of course, for our ceremony. Isn't that fantastic? It's a galactic activation portal day in the Mayan count. They are very, very special days in the count that are portal days. So look at this first line. That's what's really important this year, to exactly what Pam Gregory said about it's like striking a tuning fork. The first line of this is I pulse in order to communicate. And Pam has been saying, and I have been saying, and many people have been saying that it's about the frequency. It's about the pulse that we're putting out. And we are actually moving into timelines, future timelines based on our frequency. So you'll know people that are still clinging to that old world and fear and matrix, and they are on a timeline for that future fulfillment. So this pulse is really important. So we take that because our Drum for Change exploded, and now all these, 20,000 drummers are going to be holding that pulse of love and unconditional love and space for this day. I pulse in order to communicate, realizing breath. Of course, breath has so much to do with our word. I seal the input of spirit. Very powerful. With the solar tone of intention. I am guided by the power of endlessness. Oh God, I am a galactic activation portal. Enter me. So that is super, super powerful. And we have the solar wind, we have the Chuen, which is the monkey. So this is a day of a lot of humor and taking ourselves lightly. Whenever we do deep spiritual work, we have to be as light as possible. If we are really serious in our ceremonies, don't worry if you didn't do this in the right order or whatever. You will be channeling the right moment for your ceremony and the right steps for your ceremony. Have a sense of humor, otherwise you're back in your head. So that is just a fantastic guide into this year. Okay, well that one won't work the way I wanted it, so we'll do this. So we looked at that blue flame.
It's not sharing.
Is it sharing? No, it's not sharing. Okay, we're working out our technology. Okay, there we are. So thank you for sharing that blue flame. Notice that blue flame is the second hottest flame there is. The white fire is the only one that's hotter physically. And remember, we're not starting a physical fire across our planet. Many people are in fire areas that are doing these ceremonies. And remember, it's the energetic flame that we are invoking, and not a physical fire to take off around the planet. And that's very, very clear. And I know that some people in California have been doing water ceremonies, and Sage will be talking about that in a moment here. But we are invoking this flame, and you can use this image, or you can be doing the full-scale ceremony where we are making a blue fire to help us to ground that into our frequency. We're going to be using this wonderful UVG grid again this year. This is a fantastic map that has really come a long way. For those of you that don't know it, it's available on Google Earth. How about this? Watch this. Amazing, amazing moment that I was here 26,000 years ago in my spacecraft that crashed in Australia. And this I remember so well. And I get so excited every time I see this. So if you download Google Earth, you can see the entire UVG grid, or unified vector grid. And it will give you where everything is. It's very, very wonderful. So if I want to see the North Pole or the South Pole, I can just click on it and it will move me right there and show me exactly where that is. I can move this in and out so that I can see exactly what part of the world that's in. And so this is a fantastic resource. But if you're not technical and you don't want to go for that, you simply can use the map we've given you in all of the booklets, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. You see the grid points. And they are, you see the triangles. Those are called the Devil's Graveyards. That's including the Bermuda Triangle, which is where things disappear or open a portal into other dimensions. Those are all fire elementals in our grid. And you will also notice that in this grid they came to this grid, basically Russian scientists as well as American scientists, which is our beautiful anthropologist, Dr. Beth Hagins, who I've had interviews with, that are in the Blue Flame Grid Point Leader telecourse. For those leaders that have listened to it, it's a beautiful interview I've done with her. They came to this based on the Platonic solids. It's going back to science now. The 5 Platonic solids, the dodecahedron, the icosahedron, all of these different shapes. And they encased them in the earth, and they found that major things were on these patterns, such as all the sacred sites, such as these devil's graveyards, such as all the major rivers of the world. And that's how they started to map the grid. So we're hooking into this grid because we believe that this grid is a matrix of consciousness on our planet. And it holds all of the genetic memory of this planet, all of its history, and how it downloads information. So this is our mother's body in all its glory, and her way that her circulatory system works, and her lungs work, and everything. And we have been taking notes for many years in every ceremony to get a handle on what these energies are about. So that's all I'm going to say to that for right now, because I want to have plenty of time for your questions and to move through the changes that we made to this ceremony this last couple of years. How did that do that? There we are. So one of the people asked me about this shape, and this is our grid that we lay onto the earth. So I want to just basically say this, and then we're going to go into how we're doing the ceremony this year. This, for the beginners and intermediate, is just a physical piece of paper in their house as a little altar cloth, and they will put crystals and a candle in the middle and make this into a grid. This is known as the 9-pointed Earth Star. Our Native American people have always known about the Earth Star. It's how we're connected to the planet until we die. When we're cut from our mother at birth, the umbilical cord is then grown etherically into this star that is 18 inches below our feet in the earth. It is known as the Earth star. It's also known as how we're connected into the planetary grid. The numbers you'll see here, I'm not going to go into detail about the solfeggio today. Those of you that are doing the advanced ceremony are using tuning forks and solfeggio tubes for the ceremony. But people have said, how do I draw this on the ground? Like, I've never done it before. We draw it in sugar or salt or cornmeal on the ground around our fire. It's very easy to do. So I'd like you to see that with me. If you are making this outside on the earth, simply put a stone, a small rock, in each of these locations, which are 9 points. Make them evenly spaced, and that will give you your circle to work from. Your first of the 3 triangles, this stone here would be my first stone. I will count 2, 1, 2, and on the third one, that's the point I'll connect. And I'll put my first sugar or cornmeal on the ground to connect that. Do you see that? I start here, I skip 2, and that's the point. And again, I skip 2, and there's the other point. So there's my first triangle. Then I go to the next stone and I do the exact same thing. I go from here, I skip 2, and then I'm at 5, 2, 8 here. I skip 2, and I'm at 8, 5, 2. So I hope that helps. It's much easier to just put a few stones around in a circle, and then you can easily make this beautiful grid that holds the ceremony and anchors it to the planetary grid. That's what we're doing by doing that. The fire is normally in the very center of this, where this beautiful flower of life in this image is.
Thank you for that. That's actually amazing.
It's so simple, right?
Yeah, because I make a giant grid always. My grid is always like 12 feet out or something, and people stand on it, but it's never even. And I was like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get this thing even? But I never thought of doing the circle first before the triangles. I just kept doing the triangles first, and then it never quite looked right, but everybody's like, okay, whatever, we've got our 9 points.
Me too, Sage.
Yes.
Thanks for that info, Wendy. It'll be easier and more geometrical this year.
Well, somebody else showed me that. I don't know if it was Julie or who showed me that. But I wanted to, now that we have that laid, whether, again, you're intermediate or beginner, and just using that, printing that out and using that as an altarpiece, or you're making it onto the earth for your full day fire ceremony or water ceremony that other people have been doing now for Blue Flame. I'm going to let Michaela speak to you a little bit about this wonderful image, which I am going to bring our beautiful sister Julie in shortly, because Julie was really the one that helped me pioneer this change that I received when I was in hospital dying at 19. The grandmothers gave me a powerful, powerful vision. And I don't know if it was all the anesthesia I was on or whatever, but it was a great channel. And so here on this globe, you begin to see it. But they had showed me stretched out with my arms and legs like a star, connecting points, and said, you need to do this for the coming year. And I had another dream about it. And so we started to have this discussion. Julie Davis was our grid point leader with us up here. Now she's in Arizona, and she began, putting it together. And so I want to share that we're no longer doing it the way we had for many years, which is just 1 through 62 or 62 through 1, as we had started to do. But Michaela will show you that. Go to the next slide, honey.
So this is again not for the beginner and intermediate people, because you'll be just praying with the grid. You're not doing a literal fire ceremony, but our grid point leaders who are doing the advanced version are having an actual fire ceremony, or where there's no fire possibility, a water ceremony, where you make offerings into the fire. Instead of praying one grid point after the next, 62 times, we are now gathering the energy into praying for 5 grid points within one round, forming this incredible pentagram, which is the energy of protection for the planet. So if you look at this, we are now gridding the Earth in pentagrams, and it goes, the pentagrams, there are 12 pentagrams that make up the 60 points plus North Pole and South Pole. They are going horizontally through the Earth. I'll actually show you this with this globe here. We're gathering 5 points around the globe.
Let me turn it this way, you can see better.
So horizontally, we're going through the Earth in pentagrams like this, and actually from the bottom up, like this. Gathering 5 points in the shape of a pentagram. If you looked at it from bird's view, doing 12 pentagrams and summarizing the energy of these 5 points. So what you'll do as an advanced grid point leader, which makes the ceremony so much more efficient, is and really bringing together core energies and involving your community, is you print out these 12 pentagram sheets that we have already sent you in the instructions. So you have 12 sheets like this. And imagine this is your fire at the center. You have your offerings all laid around the fire, and your group is gathered around the fire. People are standing around the fire, or the water if that's the center point. So you have your first pentagram, and you will assign people with points. So you will say, Lindsay, you are grid point 3. Jorena, you are grid point 5. Dawn, Kelly, you are this grid point. And so then the praying begins. And so each person has responsibility for 1 point to tune in what's going on there, whether it's a challenging point or a point of resource for the planet. And so we're drumming, we are striking tuning forks, we are going into the energy, but each person is responsible for one of the pentagram spots. As people do this, they then will walk to the sheet, to their point, and jot down key words of what they received. And then we end with offerings into the fire and the blue flame prayer. So you do this 12 times, which makes the ceremony so much more efficient, but really powerful, because every person has a responsibility there. And this year, for the first time, of course, you have these handwritten notes. This year, for the first time, we have created a Google form. So we ask you that after the ceremony, in the next days to come, that you go, that link was already sent out, we'll send it out again, that you will be please so kind to type this in to the Google form, these keywords. And it runs step by step. Pentagram 1 and the grid points, you'll see it's very easy to follow, and you just type in those keywords. And so that's the big technical change from the last years, that we ask you to please do this through the form for us so we can gather the information.
When we use this beautiful sheet, we just leave it like on a log next to the fire, and as people are singing and drumming and making prayers while this pentagram is going, and they are one of these points, they walk over to this sheet of paper that sits there and they jot it down. And then I come by as the leader and I check to see once they're all filled in. Then we know that that pentagram is complete. And then I will say, we now activate and enliven with the blue flame of truth, transparency, divine will, and renewal, pentagram number 1 of the South Pole. And then I will read out these points aloud. And I'll trace them. I even ask the people to stand in that position for that moment around the fire. And I visualize making the pentagram like this. So I'll read 7. And you'll see in the right-hand corner, it says activate order. So I will read that order to keep that shape through the earth. And that's why that's written in the right-hand corner. It shows you, I start here, I go up there, 9, 5, 11, and then of course I have to come back to 7.
And what we also do is
Just a moment. The North and South Pole also have a 6th point in the middle. The 62 and 61 are at the middle. It's the only pentagrams that have a 6th point. So please notice that.
That's the first and the last pentagram. But what we also do is at the end, when we have the keywords, we all tune in. What is the overall theme of this pentagram as a totality? So we will have 12 overriding themes, main themes for each pentagram. And we can create that by just looking at the keywords people have done. And then we have shared this, we have shared the keywords before the blue flame prayer, before we complete with one route. We really read it out and let people hear what each person has gotten. And then we come up with the overall theme for this pentagram.
It really is so synergistic the way it comes together. And last year, I think some of you were at the post call where I made a poem of all of the 12, and it was so exact to our year. It was incredible. So in the post call, I'll be doing that. I'll pull all the thematics together from everyone, and we'll see what's going on the earth this year and what everyone's picking up. We also have, if you have not received it, you can receive it. I will be sending it out after the ceremony because I don't want it to influence what you pick up, is all of the notes we've compiled for all of the years. We have synergized down or, kind of went down into 2 sentences for each grid point. So we do know what each of these grid points are about. We have been studying them, but we know that it's a living being, the earth, and it's things changing and moving. And we know that we want to keep adding to that knowledge. And so you will get that Bible piece of Mother Earth's body and what we've been discovering over the years. What's important that really Michaela discovered, and I want to make that mention so you understand that the first pentagram is at the South Pole, not the North Pole. And it was many years back when we were doing it just one grid point at a time. We do 1, say the prayer, 2, say the prayer, 3, say the prayer, this kind of thing. And it was a very long ceremony, as many of you know. But also, it felt like by the time we got to the halfway point of the 3/4, it was a real struggle. Like we were going against the energy somehow. And when Michaela suggested we started at 62 and work backwards, we noticed something. If you trace that on the map and you look at that, flat map and you go from 62 to 1, you will notice something. You are moving counterclockwise around the earth, which is the way the earth actually turns. So we had been going sunwise instead of earthwise all those early years. And isn't that kind of the reflection of patriarchy, of our own patriarchy within? It's like we're starting from the male. Yeah, and she's like, but that's not who I am. And so we started to move from the South Pole and be in all of the water grid points first, most of them in the ocean, those southern ones. And we were like, wow, the ceremony just moved on its own. It felt so smooth. And we were finished before we knew it. And we were like, wow, we were always working it. And being that Michaela is an empress in the tarot, which resonates with Mother Earth, that seemed to be how she was teaching me not to work so hard. So I think that is powerful now that they've given us this sacred shape to work within. And I'd like, if Julie is here, just to say a word about how she kind of helped me with this and her new story this year in this incredible image that she made, all of these beautiful things. I think we're going to start selling them for the grid, you know. Oh my God, they're so gorgeous. So she made these. Where are you? There you are.
I'm right here. Oh, where am I right now? Are you asking where I am right now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be a part of this group today. Like White Eagle said, when she was in the hospital, deciding if she was going to leave the planet or not, I was in communication with her. I was in communication with Michaela, and she had that vision of the five-pointed star. And I'm the type of person that connects to math sort of on a spiritual level. So I just started looking at the numbers and the five-pointed stars, and I saw a pattern, that fit on the globe. Before, my pattern was on the flat map of the Earth. There's a definite pattern on the flat map of the grid points. In fact, I found a typo on the coordinates of one of the grid points for Beth Hagen that actually created the grid. But I just saw it. I didn't see it with my eyes. I just saw it with my intuition. I saw that there were 5 points that sliced into the planet, sliced into the globe, that exactly matched up to make a five-pointed star with the coordinates that White Eagle saw when she was in the hospital. So I went to a garage sale and bought a globe. Went to the dollar store and bought some thumbtacks, numbered them 1 through 62, and just started poking holes in that globe and attaching initially different colored wire, because that's what I had. And then I had different colored string. And by the time I showed it to White Eagle, she was like, huh? And it took some convincing, to be honest. But she stuck with me, and that's the story.
Yeah, well, it was just, she is so three-dimensional, and sometimes I'm like, I thought I was very three-dimensional, but I was like, what are you talking about, you know? And so at first I thought we were doing them this way, and then she showed me, though, they went through the Earth, and I thought, oh my God, that's even more powerful. Because then we're harmonizing, you know, when we're in North America and we're with North Americans, that's not harmonization, you know, it's across the planet that is really bringing that harmonization.
But before we go into
One more
each,
thing.
yeah,
Can I say one more thing? Another thing that added to this story for me personally is that I've been an organic gardener since 1975 when I was 18. And the woman in Homer, Alaska, that I bought my organic seeds and organic heritage plants from only ordered seeds or traded seeds with people on the exact same latitude that she lived.
Oh, wow.
That always stuck in my head. And so when White Eagle was saying about the five-pointed star, and I knew that the plants grew similarly on the same latitude of the Earth, I thought, aha, that could be a connection. So that was another piece of my story.
that's really powerful, Julia.
Wow.
I really love that.
I remember you saying that, but I'm so glad you said it again.
It's so great when you bring it down to earth, into practical life. That's so beautiful. Before we go into each of your individual questions, I just want to say each year we pray with a very particular theme during the ceremony. So maybe you can quickly explain what this year's theme is about.
This year's theme, freedom within sacred space. Both of us received messages. Other people had received messages, and how I understand this is we are, as I mentioned earlier, based on our frequency, we're going into timelines, or stations. It's almost like frequency stations of AM and FM, and some are on AM and some are on FM. But we are basically by our frequency moving into a timeline based on that truth, based on that frequency. And because we have so much polarity and distension of about everything right now, whether it's COVID, whether it's politics, whether it's war, we have people on every side with every belief system saying you have the false information. And so I am just recommending to everyone to stay in that frequency of truth from source and divine will, as Sage had said earlier. Go directly to divine will, go directly to source, and then move into the communities that hold that truth to set us all free. And we have to give that permission. That's been hard for me when it's been against what I believe in, that somebody is going on about the other side of the story to me. And I'm, and my little freedom wings feel like they're going to get clipped or whatever. I stop myself and go, they have their freedom within sacred space, meaning I am holding the unconditional space. And I'm not here to judge their frequency and timeline and their experiences and what they need to have. Maybe that is the karmic clearing. Maybe that is what they need. And I don't need to think mine's better or anything. I just have to be true to it and stand in that freedom and stand in the power of that freedom. And so, and if they're open or I'm open to have that exchange. I was with a previous board member who is on the other side of a lot of the stories, and we used to be very close. And now it's like, can I hear her? Can she hear me? And she was really able to listen to me for quite some time. And then when I had to listen to her, I really got that I still had a lot of judgment. So this is what I want to hold for myself and for the grid, is that this sacred space, we all know what that means to create it in ceremony. And imagine creating that with everyone that you're meeting in the supermarket that's telling you to mask up or whatever, and you're going, whatever the story is that you hold that space of sacred space and the freedom to choose that timeline, to choose that belief system that then allows for whatever that intention and attention bring. So I want to move with that in this ceremony globally, this sense of neutrality that we can hold within everyone finding their next octave of frequency, and allowing them to experience and allowing us to experience that in our own direct connection with divine will of the blue flame. So I hope that summarizes this year and how we're kind of entering this yellow galactic seed year of the seed planting, the consciousness seed. That's what this is really about. It's about that new consciousness. And all of us who have been here for a long time, we were like, yeah, we've kind of been doing that. But we're all being tested as this polarity increases. We are all, no matter how evolved we think we are, as soon as these really rudimentary issues start coming of freedom and you're going to get me sick and all these kinds of stories, then we go, all of us are a little bit on their edge. So I think we're just getting the PhD of how to hold sacred space into that new freedom for wherever we stand on any issue, that we can trust that we are being guided directly from source. And that we can follow that and stand in that impeccably and not cowled to the establishment, but to stand, to be willing to be in that stand, but in that space. And we saw that so deeply, was it not last year, but the year before in Hawaii, up at Mauna Kea, and watched the Hawaiian nation stand in aloha. The stories I could tell you about how they stood up to the police officers with all of their armor as they were protecting Mauna Kea. And the old grandmothers go, oh, I see your name badge, Kamaka Vivioli. Oh, I know your brother. Would you like a cup of water? It's very hot out here. That's what the grandmothers were doing and melting every police officer. Two of the police officers had actually died in that last week before this march, and the elders asked if they could hold ceremony for those officers. Well, all of them are standing there like their SWAT machine look. They say, can we all pray together, for these two officers? So this is the love that they showed, and we saw this kind of stuff up there that just melted us, is can we take off that armor of righteousness to the space of love that holds that sacred space of love unconditional to if you believe the same thing as I do or not. And I think that that's paramount in my own life to function as a human being and a director of a peace organization, as well as all of us as we represent that medicine, or at least we say we do. So that's where I feel the ground of that new seed can go into that sacred space to blossom in our own way. Okay, that's enough of me and that story. And I want to open it up to any questions or sharings that you'd like to do before this year's ceremony. We have our Anchorage community, our sister community, the Adams Center. We love having Ann and Dawn at that end, rocking and rolling. And now Ann knows how to make the star. So that's really cool. It's so much easier than we thought. Anyway, anything you'd like to share before we wrap up and keep it at an hour for everyone? And we have people flying in for this ceremony from California as we launch a 2-hour opening here on Zoom for any of you that want to participate to honor our beautiful sister Tarka. Her community drum, Freedom Star, will be passed on to its new keeper, Sona Weber. And Sona's been in prayer. She's taking all the trainings, and she'll be here to fly in to receive Freedom Star. We have many things to share in that a few hours Zoom before we launch out the door. What looks like a gorgeous day in Alaska. Thank God.
Don Kelly.
Yes, good morning, everybody. And yes, Adams Center has been with the Blue Flame ever since its existence. And we were grid keeper number 7 until White Eagle and Michaela took over of that grid point. So we moved to the sister grid point of number 6. And which again is a very powerful, because it's out on the Aleutian chain and where all the earth shakes and the elements are intense. So we're very happy to be that grid keeper. So this year, Anne, she has been hosting our Blue Flame ceremony on her land and her home for the last few years, which is a beautiful space. And so this year, I'll have to share with you guys, this is an awesome lesson year for me. So I've been doing the ceremony all these years. And this year, of all things, my mom is celebrating her 80th birthday, and the kids are doing a surprise party. And the 22nd is my have-to travel day. And as I was making my reservations, I'm going, God, something's in the back of my mind. What's going on there? I pushed the button to get my ticket, and I'm going, oh, it's the Blue Flame Day. Oh my God. And so Anne is graciously stepping up, which she is fully capable of doing because her heart's full of love, and she has a tad bit of apprehension, but she's been at almost all the Blue Flames. And so she is going to do an amazing job with whoever shows up from Adam. And usually we get a fairly good crowd. It's hard to say what is happening. But anyway, for me, it's a lesson to let go and have somebody else be completely capable of moving in. And then also, I've made up my mind that on my flights, I am going to take the chart, and I am going to sit in my seat, and I am going to pray over every one of those grids and do my own ceremony. So I'll be joining you. But Anne will be fully capable of conducting this in the most incredible way. So I know she was a little apprehensive, but we've got everything ready. And so I'm just taking the baton and passing it on to her.
Well, I want to say that my
That's awesome.
favorite place to do this work is always when I fly. And they're like all my grids. Like, I own the planet. This is all my grids. I'm taking care of them. And if you text me for the beginner one, you can just get the little beginner little packet, and you can take it with you, and you can do it just having the grid out and doing it right then and there. Yeah.
Well,
By
I was going to
yourself.
bring the map. I've got the pentagons, the pentagrams, and I was just going to, do the ceremony over each one, the blue flame prayer, and kind of make my own one up.
Perfect.
So anyway, it's to me, this whole time is intention and staying in that sense of sacred space and freedom and going within. So again, as you said, we're healing ourselves. We're not healing Mother Earth. She doesn't, we're like flies. If she wants to do something with us, we fly off like that. We are healing ourselves. And when we heal ourselves, we have that incredible ability to touch, others' lives. So anyway, that's my intention for the 22nd.
Beautiful. And Rhonda, I saw you pop in. So, you're new this year, but you're not new. You've been doing this kind of work forever in Israel with us. So, I don't know if you have any questions since you're newbie to doing the actual by yourself version. Maybe you've joined Sage. I don't know at any time.
Yeah, I joined Sage 2 years ago, way back in 2019, 20 years ago in 2019. Yeah, so I have a question. Within all the material, the pentagrams are in the material. I don't know if I noticed that. Are they in there?
Look for the email that just came to the Grid Point leaders, and it says final details.
Okay.
And that's the addition, those are the 3 changes to the telecourse packet that you got. I couldn't edit the telecourse manual itself this past week, so I just did it as an addition. So you'll see the 3 new changes, which is, of course, the pentagrams themselves and the theme of this year and that kind of thing. So just look for that email. If for some reason you didn't get it, just pop me an email and we'll make sure you
I
did.
did get it. I think. Thank you. Awesome.
Anyone else want to share anything?
I'll just say one thing, if I can, my computer keeps cutting out, so I'm not sure. My computer keeps cutting out. Not sure if you're going to hear me. So last year, for the first year, we added the water ceremony. I just wanted to say something about that because we're on the West Coast in Oregon and California. We were blazing with fire in September, and it freaked us all out. We literally were like, do we want to add more fire to the planet? And so we got instructions that we could do water. And I have to say that was so beautiful. We had one fire. We had the fire with the star over here, and we had crystal bowl with water over here with the stars. So we had both of them, and we had split our group up into 2. So doing a balance of the fire and the water, but it's the blue flame is really the light of consciousness. So this year I'm in Hawaii, and I was freaking out, like, where am I going to go to do this? I'm in an Airbnb. I don't have my group here. And I thought, I can't just, what land am I supposed to build a fire? There's no place to build a fire. So I was praying to Spirit, and Spirit said, just go to that little pool of water that you and White Eagle and Michaela went to with the group with Melinda when we all did our little ceremony next to the City of Refuge. And so I'm going to do it in that little pool of water, and I'm going to have literally a bucket. I have to change the whole ceremony, but it doesn't matter. That's the intention of sending the fire out, the flames. So I'm going to have a bucket of flowers, and I'm going to sit next to that little pool of water and throw the flower petals into that pool of water for every grid point, thing, the 5-pointed star. And my whole heart just exploded when they told me to do that. And I thought, oh my God, that is so beautiful. I don't have to follow all the rules. I'm getting the essence of the ceremony there. So that's my plan for this ceremony.
And it
Oh,
couldn't
that's-
be more powerful because you're talking about the forgiveness pool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can you're infusing the planet with the forgiveness of our consciousness and what we've created. So
Yeah.
how beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, and it's just so aloha. So I'm so excited. Well, just to remind you and everyone that you meet is everyone can participate in this, whatever level they can do, whether they're just going to read through the 62 list and then do one prayer, if they have a half an hour, or they are then coming into doing the intermediate level where they're going to do the pentagrams with us and take some notes and go into a little bit longer meditation that might take them a couple of hours. So we have everyone, and again, Sage is introducing the water ceremonies and making flower offerings or herbal offerings into that.
Yeah, there'll be herbals and flower essences, and I'm gathering flower essences. Exactly. Thank you for saying that, because that actually is what I'm doing.
Am I channeling that in?
Yes, I mean, no, I already knew. I just forgot to say it. Flowers and flower essences. They had channeled that in, and then you channeled to remind me to say I'm doing flower essences.
And Julie wanted to say something else.
I just wanted to share the part about how the blue flame heals the self. When I created a prayer chart, and I don't remember how many months it was, but it was months and months and months where I had that hanging on the wall next to my bed. I said it the first thing every morning. I said it the last thing before I went to bed every night. And it literally changed my life. It changed my health. It changed my relationships. It changed my life. So I just want to recommend to anybody that's new or that has a group to share with them that this prayer can be used year round. It's not just a one-day thing.
Thank you so much
So
for
glad you said
saying
that.
because we always, as Grid Point leaders, make that commitment that from the ceremony to next year's ceremony, every day we say that blue flame prayer again. And thank you for that powerful testimonial.
Yeah, and that's for the grid point that we're overseeing, but it's also for all the planet and ourselves. Obviously, we're saying it for ourselves. So I'd like you to be able to share, before we close out, to share any more, but I want to remind you that we do want your feedback. We do want your notes. We do want your pictures up on the Facebook page. Everyone loves seeing everyone else's ceremony. It's so beautiful because we each make a mandala out of that 9-pointed star when we begin. We started doing that some years back, and it was just such a beautiful thing. Is it my screen sharing? We actually started to make mandalas when we made this. We started to do this whole opening where we made this gorgeous sort of almost like a Tibetan Buddhist sand mandala, and that was all the items, and we had candles and flowers, and we started it with this beautiful mandala. So, that is something we enjoy doing, and we love seeing pictures of what people create. And we gave you a fabulous foundation to work from, and of course Spirit's going to give you something specific, so trust that. I mean, this entire ceremony was channeled and all of its steps were channeled. So if you get something for your ceremony that is supposed to be something you're doing, you're going to add that in, because it's that freedom within the sacred space. So anyone else want to ask anything before we close? And then I will ask our beautiful sisters and brothers here to do a prayer before we step out. Anyone else that wants to make a comment or any questions they have on the ceremony? Good, that must mean we did a little good job on our little presentation today, and that you all get it. So that's wonderful, and I'm just so honored to continue this. Next year will be our 10th anniversary of just the ceremony for the world. We've been doing it for 25 years, but for everyone to be doing it with us, next year will be our 10th anniversary. And I want to thank our incredible webmaster who's helping me put this all together onto the website. You'll see all the new videos that we're posting about the ceremonies, and really honor our Drum for Change Global Network, who will be drumming all with us starting at 11:11 a.m. their time, and then taking a 20-minute break in silence and then drumming again. This is World Water Day, so the focus is the waters this year on this equinox, and we're going to start making all of our Drum for Change days, which are solstices and equinoxes, focused on one of the elements of Mother Earth. So this year we are focusing on the planet's waters, on the September one, the waters within ourselves, our own emotional healing, as well as the planetary waters. So in doing so, I'd like to then close out this incredible morning. Thank you so much for taking this hour with us, to stand as light workers around the world for our mother, for ourselves, and for this enormous sort of leap of consciousness that we are in, going from the Homo sapien into the Homo luminous humanity. And now we know we're here. You know, for a while we were like, are we, is it happening? And the drum is so big, we know it's happening. And so all we have to do is keep that frequency going amidst everything that's going on out there, and just keep dropping story, and coming back to the light of love everlasting. We got that trinity of mantra. I am the light of light everlasting. I am the light of love everlasting. I am the light of life everlasting. The three haras of the body. So we move into that now, and I'd like to invite Sage to say our closing prayer for sending all of us as light workers and all that are listening to this afterwards out into this beautiful portal day of the equinox, to spend that one day giving back to Mother Earth all the amazing, amazing, amazing abundance that we have living on this sweet garden.
And Sage, you need to unmute yourself. You're muted, Sage. Yeah.
I just got muted. I want to call in the divine presence of the spirit of the blue flame of every light worker, planetary worker on this planet, whether you're joining the blue flame ceremony or not. We all have one intention on this beautiful sacred earth, that we are all coming together for her healing, for the healing of humanity, and that we give a special thanks and appreciation and gratitude for all the elemental kingdom of the blue flame, the Elohim of the blue flame, all the archangels of the blue flame, the ascended masters that work with the blue flame, and every man, woman, and child that can recognize their sacred heart within them, the pink, the gold, and the blue flame, that we are all divine embodiments of source energy. And then we ask the sacred blue flame to infuse all of us with a clear connection to our pineal gland and to our sacred heart, so that we always can hear the information, the guidance of our divine will in truth, transparency, and the freedom that comes from following your own connection to source. We all are source. We all are in a field of oneness consciousness, of divine love, of spirit. And I especially ask that 1,000 times 1,000 suns of the blue flame radiate that day into Mother Earth, to bring her and the assistance of all the elemental kingdom, the blue flame, to bring the entire earth consciousness into a place where we are reminded that she is heaven. She is meant to be the beautiful heavenly planet, the gorgeous, beautiful, loving heavenly planet where we all get to come and experience three-dimensional life and form here in her beauty and her love. And Mother Earth has demonstrated her unconditional love for us, giving us a place to evolve and to grow for eons and eons of time. And through our love of her, we invite the blue flame through our hearts into her body for total and complete healing of consciousness on this planet, to return us to our innocence and our divine source consciousness, so we may enjoy her and honor each other as the source beings that we are. Aho.
Mahalo nui loa. Thank you so much.
Mahalo
Toda
nui
rabah.
loa.
Dankeschön. Muchas gracias.
Mm.
E aloha e.